Hey guys, how's it going? Hope all is well. Today we are going to take a quick look at section 2.5, which deals with graphing linear equations using the intercepts. So we've been graphing a few equations. We've been using a table of values in order to graph these things, but now we're actually going to talk about how we can graph them using the x and y intercepts. Okay, so that is our objective for today. We're going to be able to identify the x and y intercepts from an equation and also graph a line using those two intercepts. So let's go ahead and take a look at problems 1 through 4 to get an understanding of just that. Okay, so we're being asked to identify the axis on which the point lies, then state the x coordinates and y coordinates. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and start with this point right here. Okay, this point right there. All right, let's go ahead and write down its coordinates. So it looks like it's 3 to the left and 0 up or down. So it's at negative 3 comma 0. All right, now it's asking what axis is that on? Well, this is my x-axis. This is my y-axis. So it's on the x-axis. Okay, now we're going to look at this one over here in blue. So let's go ahead and write down the coordinates. So we're going left or right 0 spaces. Whoops, wrong one, my bad. So we're not moving left or right at all. So I'm just going to go ahead and write 0. But we do go up 5 units, okay? And this one is actually on the y-axis, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at number 2. Same thing. Let's go ahead and start off with the point furthest to the left. This one is furthest to the left, okay? So let's go ahead and write down the coordinates for that. So it's 0 left or right, so 0 comma 2, because we do go up 2. And what axis is it on? Well, it's on the y-axis. Remember, this is your y, this is your x, okay? So we are on the y-axis for that point. Now for this point over here, we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. So let's write our coordinates. So they are 4 comma 0, and our axis is the x-axis. All right, not too bad, pretty simple, huh? So let's go ahead and continue. All right, the reason why we are doing these is because right now we're going to make a few connections with what we are doing, as well as how we can start solving more problems that are a little more difficult, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look again. I like to go from left to right, and that's usually the general rule of thumb. So first point I see here is negative 5 comma 0. Okay, that is on the x-axis. Again, if you like, go ahead and draw in your axis, or axes, I should say. All right, and then the other point right over here. Whoops, close that. Okay, we have 0 comma negative 5, and that one is on my y-axis. All right, now let's take a look at this next one here. Start with the left. Okay, so that is 0 comma 1. And then we have, that is on the y-axis. And then we have on the x-axis this other one over here, which is 4 comma 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and actually, let me go ahead and zoom out here a little bit. The reason I want to zoom out is so we can see these graphs as we move along. So let's go ahead and move up. So let's go ahead and see what we are being asked in this next part. It asks, describe something that you have noticed about all the points that lie on the x-axis. Okay, so what I want to do is actually, I'm going to go ahead and highlight with a green marker here everything that's on the x-axis. So that's this right here, this right here, this right here, and this right here. Okay, so that's all it asks. Anything that was on the x-axis, and the reason why I'm highlighting those particular ones, because if you notice here, on the x, 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 everything else is on the y-axis. So from looking at those points, guys, what do you notice? What do you notice about all the points that are on the x-axis? Okay, I'll let you guys think about it for a second. All right. Hopefully by now you'll have noticed that, look, every single one has a 0 for your y value. Okay, so that's something that we're going to go ahead and write down as an observation. So we're going to go ahead and say that on the x-axis, all y values are 0. Okay, so on the x-axis, all the y values are 0. Well, now for the next one, we're being asked to describe something you have noticed about all the points that lie on the y-axis. So with a different highlighter here, I'm going to go ahead and point those out. So right there, right there, right there, and right there. And hopefully now you can see something very similar to what we saw earlier with the x-axis, but now with the y. In this case, all of them have a 0 in our x value. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that now. So let's go ahead and make that conclusion. So describe something you notice about all the points that lie on the y-axis. We notice that on the y-axis, all of the x values are 0. Okay, so all of the values are 0. Now that's important because we're going to need to know that in order to start identifying our graph based on the algebraic form of a linear function. Because right now what we've been doing, and I'm going to scroll up real quick, we gathered all that information from the graphs, but now we're going to actually take a look at how we can find that information using the regular equations. Okay, so let me just scroll up here real quick. And actually what I want to do is make a little side note here. Okay, I'm actually going to make 2 of them. So if you would like, go ahead and make these as well. So what I want to write is that for the x, for the x intercepts, y equals 0. And here, for the y intercept, x equals 0. So that's just basically a summary of all that we just wrote. Okay, so keep those 2 things in mind. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down real quick. So let's go ahead and see what number 5 and 6 are asking. So they're letting us know that determine the x-intercept and the y-intercepts of the following equations. Well, we don't have a graph anymore. We have the equation, but now we have a few things that we just discovered. We discovered this, that all x-intercepts have a y equals 0, and all y-intercepts have an x equals 0. Okay? So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and calculate the intercept first. Let's do the x-intercept. Okay? All right, so if my if I'm looking for my x-intercept, then my y has to equal 0. So plugging that into my equation, I'm going to get 3x minus 2, and now instead of a y, I'm going to put a 0 equals 6. And now it's just a matter of solving. So here we get, let's see, 3x minus, well, 2 times 0 is just 0, so we really just get 3x equals 6. Divide by 3, whoops, I'm sorry, we get x equals 2. Okay? Now, but they asked us for an intercept. Remember, an intercept is a point. Okay? This right here helps us remember that it's a point. Intercept, PTS. We need a point. Okay? We're looking for points here, and so our x-intercept is, let's go ahead and write it up here. Our x-intercept is 2, 0. Why is it 0? Well, whoops. We substituted in, go ahead and erase that. We substituted in 0 for y, that's why I have that. And my new value that I just found is 2, and hence I have my 2 there for my x value. Okay, now same thing for your y-intercept. But now we know that for my y-intercept, x has to equal 0. So let's go ahead and do our equation. So 3 parentheses 0 minus 2y equals 6. Okay, so this is just, well, 3 times 0 is 0, so we have negative 2y equals 6. Divided by negative 2, we get y equals negative 3. Okay, let me scroll down for just 1 second. So we have that our y-intercept equals, well, again, what did we do? We substituted in, sorry about that, guys. We substituted in, whoops, x equals 0, so 0 for x, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and write there. And then my result was a y equals negative 3. So here in my final answer, I'm going to put 0, negative 3. So once again, just to make it clear, let me go ahead and highlight this. Okay, 0, negative 3, and here for my negative 3, I'm going to highlight that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at number 6. So actually, if you guys want to fill these out, you guys can. So the x-intercept we said here was 2, 0. That's a little cleaner than what I have right now on the page. And then 0, negative 3 for my y-intercept. All right, so same thing for my problem number 6. Let me scroll up here a little bit. So we have, for the x-intercept, we know that we have to have y equals 0. So let's substitute that in. So 4x plus 0 equals negative 4. Well, adding 0 is like doing nothing. So 4x equals negative 4 divided by 4. Get x equals negative 1. So my x-intercept, well, what is it? Well, I have them both here. My y value has to be 0, and my x value has to be negative 1. So for my x-intercept, I'm going to go ahead and write negative 1, 0. Okay, cool. Now for the next one, I'm going to do my y-intercept, which means I have to do x equals 0. Okay, so let's substitute that in. We get 4 parentheses 0 this time plus y equals negative 4. Well, 4 times 0 is just 0, so I really just have y equals negative 4. Look at that. That one was pretty simple. So again, my y-intercept, I have x equals 0 and y equals negative 4. So when I write it in, my answer here is 0, negative 4. Okay, so I hope this is starting to make a little bit more sense, guys. Let's go ahead and try. a few on your own. So what I want you guys to do is actually solve number 7 and number 8. So go ahead and pause the video right now. Do the same thing for x-intercepts. Substitute in y equals 0. For y-intercepts, substitute in x equals 0. So go ahead and pause the video and try these out. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at these two problems. So for the first one, let's see, what do we want to find first? Well, it asks x-intercepts first. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. So x-intercept. I don't know why it's not working. I'm not sure why it's erasing all my stuff. Give me 1 second, guys. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, let's see if this works. So x-intercept. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So my y, I'm not sure why it's erasing. Okay, so y equals 0 for my x-intercept. All right, I'm going to go ahead and substitute those values in. So let's see. I get negative 5x plus 6 parentheses 0 equals 30. Okay, well, 6 times 0 is just 0, so I get negative 5x equals 30. Divide by negative 5. I get x equals 6. All right, so let's go ahead and write those down. So what do I get? I get y is 0, x is 6. So that is my x-intercept. Okay, and actually if we want, we can go ahead and write it right here, just so we have it on the side. Let's go ahead and do now our y-intercept. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So we have y-intercept means that x equals 0. So let's go ahead and substitute that in. So we get negative 5 parentheses 0 plus 6y equals 30. Okay, well, negative 5 times 0 is just 0. We get 6y equals 30. Divided by 6, I get y equals 5. Okay, so my y-intercept is 0, 5. All right, let's go ahead and write that one down as well. So we get 0, 5. And I just noticed something, guys. This right here is supposed to be a negative 6. So go ahead and make that change for me. Okay, so I have my two intercepts, my x-intercept and my y-intercept. Okay, x-intercept and y-intercept. So let's go ahead and actually graph this thing. All right, because it's one thing to be able to find them algebraically, but now once we have them, we need to be able to go back and forth between the algebraic version and the graph form. So I'm going to go ahead and go to negative 6, 0, so right around there. Okay, and also 0, 5, so 0 left and right, but I do go up 5. And that's really all we need, guys. We only need 2 points to graph a line. Okay, So from there, just make sure you grab a straight edge. I unfortunately don't have one with me, so I'll try my best. But if you have one, go ahead and use it. So that's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, but it seems to work. Okay, so once again, just under here, if you want to rewrite them, we have our x-intercept, which is negative 6, 0, and 0, 5 for your for your y-intercept. Okay, so that was number 7. And number 8, let's go ahead and solve it now. All right, so I'm going to find my x-intercept first, so I'm going to substitute in y equals 0. All right, so y equals 0, so let's do that. So let's do negative 8x minus 4 parentheses 0 equals negative 16. Well, negative 4 times 0 is just 0, so I really get negative 8x equals negative 16. Divided by negative 8, I get x equals 2. So my x-intercept is really 2, 0. All right. Finally, let's do our y-intercept. So our y-intercept is when x equals 0. So let's substitute that in. Negative 8, parentheses 0 minus 4y, negative 16. That just multiplies out to be 0, so I get negative 4y equals negative 16. Divide by negative 4, we get y equals 4. Once again, we have a y-intercept here, and this particular one is 0, 4. So let's go ahead and graph both of those points on our graph. So 2, 0, so 2 to the right, but none up or down, and 0 left or right, but we do go up 4. Okay, so again, I'm going to try my best here with a straight edge if you have one. I unfortunately don't have it, so let's see. Definitely not as good as the first time, but you guys get the point. Okay, now it is important for you guys to do it with a straight edge just to make sure that you hit the correct points, especially since we only have 2 points to draw our line with. Okay, so finally I'm going to go ahead and write my 2 intercepts. So 2, 0 and 0, 4. Okay, all right, I'm going to do one more with you guys, and then I want you guys to try out that last one for me from beginning to end. Okay, so x-intercept is what I want to find first. So I'm going to substitute 0 for y. So I get 5x minus 3 parentheses 0 equals 30. Okay, this turns into just 5x equals 30. Divide by 5, get x equals 6. So my x is 6. My y, well, I substituted in a 0. So my y is 0. Now for my x-intercept, for my y-intercept, so now I'm going to substitute in 0 for x. So 5 parentheses 0 minus 3y equals 30. All right, so I get negative 3y equals 30. Divide by negative 3, I get y equals negative 10. So let me write that one down now. So I get 0, negative 10 for my y-intercept. Go ahead and graph both of those. So 6, 0 is all the way over here because I go 6 to the right, but none up and down. And then negative 10 down here. So let's go ahead and see how well we can draw this line. Not great, but not horrible either. All right, so always remember to draw your little arrows at the very end. This is a line, it does go on forever. Alright, so I'm just going to rewrite my x and y intercepts, and we should be good. Alright, go ahead and pause the video, guys, for this last problem. I want you guys to try it all on your own, and then we will be done with the video. So go ahead and pause the video now. Alright, guys, let's go ahead and try these two problems, or this last problem out, I should say. So again, I'm going to go ahead and look for my x-intercept first, which means I have to do y equals 0. So let's see, we get negative 15x minus 9 times 0 equals negative 45. Okay, so then we get negative 15x equals negative 45. Divide by negative 15 on both sides, I get x equals 3. So yet again, I have my x-intercept as 3, 0. Last one over here, I want my y-intercept now, so I do x equals 0. So let's do negative 15, parentheses 0, minus 9y equals negative 45. Once again, negative 15 times 0 goes away. I just get negative 9y equals negative 45. If I divide both sides by negative 9, then all I get is a positive 5. So once again, write down my y-intercept and go and graph my 2 points. So 3, 0 is right there, and 0, 5 is right up there. So let's go ahead and draw a line through those. Oh no, that was horrible. Let's try that again. Still pretty bad, but hopefully you guys did a better job than I did. Okay, so let's go ahead and write down our 2 intercepts. So 3, 0 and 0, 5. Alright guys, so later on we are going to be talking about a different form here, a different way of actually graphing our lines given an equation. We're going to actually manipulate the equation a little bit in order to get it to a certain form. But for now, if you're given this type of form, and if you guys remember from previous chapters, this right here, guys, is called standard form. Okay, so if you have something that isn't standard form like that, you guys might want to go ahead and solve using the x and y intercepts. Always just remember, y-intercept, substitute in x equals 0, and for your x-intercept, substitute in y equals 0. Alright guys, I think that's it for today, so go ahead and try out your homework and see how well you do on that. If you're not sure on how to continue solving these problems, go ahead and rewatch any part of this video. Alright guys, have a good one. Bye.